Batman 23.3, aka The Penguin, written by Frank Thierry, art by Christian Deuce. So we open up with a couple of security cameras at the Iceberg Casino, and he's like, look, I'm an honorable man. People win at my casino. I let them have their winnings. For instance, we lost a couple $100,000, or sorry, we lost $1,000,000 last week. The week before, we lost $400,000 to slots, but just now we're losing 35 grand at a blackjack table, and that seems small, but these guys are cheating, so can't have that. And we see that the guys are a pair of brothers that were a failed Vegas magic act called the Illusionists, and so they are pulling some sleight of hand stuff in order to cheat at blackjack. And as they're counting their winnings, Lark, who is head of security, comes up with some big goons and says, gentlemen, how about you escort us over here real quick? And they're like, oh, so this is how the Iceberg Casino treats winners, huh? And Penguin's like, no, because you didn't win. So here's what's going to happen, guys. You're going to leave your winnings behind and we'll let you go scot-free. And he's just like, no. Penguin's like, no, I'm sorry, do you not know? I'm the Penguin. What are you saying? He's like, yeah. Here's the thing, Tweety. We know that in Detective Comics, you were forced out of your role by your underling, and you only just now got your name back, and your underling took the name of Emperor Penguin. Like, how humiliating is that? That Emperor Penguin, he took your name too. That is so sad. You're a sad little man, and there's nothing you can do about it to us. So what do you think you're going to do? And one of the goons reaches for a gun, and Penguin's like, you know what? Lark, will you escort these gentlemen outside? And it's just like, oh, look at that. Yeah, he wants to have a little one-on-one with us, huh? And he's like, oh, one of Sicker's goons. And as Penguin and them step outside, he, of course, pulls out his umbrella gun, starts shooting. The other side of the gun turns into a knife. He stabs a bunch of them and kills them all with his own two hands. And Penguin, as soon as the fight's over, turns to Lark and is like, I haven't killed anyone with my bare hands in like 3 years. Felt good. And Lark's like, well, you could have fooled me. Anyway, were you really going to let them go if they gave back the money? And he's just like, no, of course not. But like, I figured I would give it a shot because, hey, why not? So then he says, oh, by the way, do these guys have families? And he's just like, oh, yeah, I'm sure they do. It's like, well, now they don't. See to it. So next day in front of GCPD, these guys turn up dead on the steps, and news is reporting on it. News then goes up to the governor, saying, hey, Governor Winston, what are you going to do? And he's just like, well, we have an idea as to the last place these men were seen was the Iceberg Casino, so that's where we're going to start looking. We believe this has something to do with the Penguin. And Lark is like, sir, is this going to be a thing? Do we have to kill the governor? And Penguin's like, no, you're so naive. You're so stupid, Lark. And he pulls out a little scrapbook and he's like, yeah, no. His family and my family have been friends for generations. In fact, he defended me from bullies when we were growing up in high school and middle school. We're close friends. He's totally chill. This is all just part of the act. He says, oh, we'll look into it, and then nothing ever comes of it. By the way, he's coming by for dinner. So they meet up for dinner, and they're having a nice little thing. And Penguin's like, you put on a pretty good show there, Carter. And Carter's like, yeah, Penguin wasn't a show. Here's the thing. You are a monster. You have done horrible things. We know it, and I've brushed it under the rug long enough, but you're no longer that scared little kid that was bullied. You've become your own monster. So I am going to be coming after you, and I am going to put you down. And he calls out his assistant and says, like, yeah, we're going to turn your Iceberg Casino into an indoor ice skating rink, and we're going to re-renovate the entire downtown area around you for good old-fashioned family entertainment. And Penguin's like, all right, you know what? That's fair enough. Do you think you can do that? So be it. All right, pour the champagne, hands a glass over to him. All right, cheers, and may the best man win. And before he's even done his sentence, Governor's passed out. He's coming to in a dark room later on, and Penguin's like, oh, hey, looks like you can't handle your liquor, buddy. And Governor's like, you drugged me. What the hell? And he's like, oh, those are some very strong accusations. I would watch who you're accusing, especially a man in your situation. And he flips on the light, and we see that the governor is naked, covered in blood, with a woman missing her head on the bed. And Penguin's like, can I offer you a hanky? So then Penguin explains, oh, yes, I don't know what happened to you. You left my home after dinner, and then we got this surveillance cam that we had set up in the hotel room here, and we see that he is just roided out on venom that he was dosed with and proceeded to kill this woman. And Penguin's like, we don't even know what happened to her head. We think you might have eaten it. And that causes him to throw up. And it's like, oh, and just in case you try to say that you've never met this woman before, we have this text conversation that you had with her just minutes before you met up with her here, saying, hey, I need to see you now. So, yeah, you're extra screwed, buddy. And Carter's like, you're going to frame me? That's low even for you. And it's like, or all of this could go away if you just don't look into it. You just back off. Because I'm the Penguin. And those who forget that need to be taught a lesson. So the next day, the governor calls a press conference. He gets up in front of TV cameras. He stands up and he's like, you know what? Sometimes the bullies get it right. He pulls out a gun, blows out his brains live on TV. And Penguin's like, oh, go ahead and buy some flowers for the family, the biggest one you can get. And leave me be. So at that point, he reaches into his desk, pulls out that same scrapbook from before, and we see all of the bullies that made fun of him throughout the years have their faces taped over with news clippings of their deaths, of how they died seemingly in accidents. And he says, oh, poor Carter, everyone who crosses the Penguin gets what they deserve because the Penguin will always have the last word. And that's that. It's dark. It's very brutal. I enjoyed it. I think I was on record saying back at the beginning of the New 52 that I forget who was, I think it was Greg Hurwitz. I could be wrong. But art by Simon Kudransky, Penguin, Pain and Prejudice. That was a fantastic series that was done. And I think this is in that same sort of vein. It's the same sort of thing where he just goes that extra mile to burn everything to the ground out of just the smallest of slights. So yeah, Penguin's an interesting character. I really look forward to reading more of him wherever he does pop up. But for this one, I'm going to give this one solid 8. It's a very well done issue. It's brutal, it's dark, and it's a good look into Penguin as a character, even if we don't see his origin as a whole.